Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am Jen Sugarmeyer, your host of Higher in Heels. This is brought to you. This is Mindset in the Morning, brought to you by Higher in Heels. And we are here live 5 days a week talking about mindset because we want to set our day intentionally and really get deep into the mind and make sure that we set that foundation so that we're set for success in the future. You know, the truth is that everything is mindset and you have to have actions, but mindset is the foundation of your world, and it's small millimeter shifts that are going to take you from failing into winning. And it's just how we view things. And we start to realize that we are in control of everything that happens in our life, that we're in control of how we see things, that perception is power. Perception becomes our reality, and we can take things on or we can not take things on, and other people's opinions, or we can disregard them. We own that power. We're the only ones that are responsible for our happiness. We're the only ones that are responsible for our success. We are responsible for ourselves. And so that's why it's so important for us to have this time in the morning, ideally in the morning, to get grounded and really think about these things. And this week, we've been talking about mindset. We talked about success. We talked about a winning mindset. We talked about failure yesterday. And today we're going to talk about disappointment. And this is a little personal for me because I did disappoint someone. But before we jump into that, I would love if you would subscribe, and if you would share this with your friends, because we want to start a movement of getting into the mind and being intentional with our lives, not just jumping into the day and going, but a movement of people really thinking about themselves and their mind and where they want to be and becoming intentional about their life. Because if you're not happening to life, life is happening to you. So let's talk about disappointment. So yesterday yesterday my mom had surgery, and at 9:00 is when I reached out to her, 9 p.m. And she went in at like 10:45 a.m., which was 9:45 my time. So it took like 12 hours for me to contact my mother. And she didn't say, "Jen, I'm disappointed in you." But I felt this level of sadness. And the truth is, I was disappointed in myself. I was disappointed that I didn't message her right away. And it was in my brain, but and I didn't put it on my calendar because I'm like, I have it committed to memory, but I didn't obviously have it committed to memory, and it fell out of my head. That's the truth. So it doesn't feel good when you disappoint someone, especially when it's someone that you love. And we can't go around being people pleasers and doing all the things. So let's talk about a situation kind of in the same way that we did yesterday, and just walk through what it looks like when you've disappointed someone. First and foremost, it's just data. Let's look at the data. Let's look at the situation and assess what has happened. So in my case, my mom went in for surgery, and it wasn't 12, and it was 12 hours later when her daughter reaches out. 12 hours. So there's the data. So I put myself in my mom's shoes. And how does that feel? Would I have wanted somebody to reach out to me? Yeah, I would have. Because I think it was fairly, emotional. It was, every time we go through something with our body, it's like, what's going on? I mean, we just, it's a sensitive thing. And, whether she was sensitive or not, I don't know, but I should have been there. So when I put myself in her shoes, I see what she was talking about. Now, you may say in your situation, I'm putting myself into somebody's shoes and I don't validate what they're saying. I mean, I'm not going to take that on. And that's completely valid. I don't know that my parents are a real big fan of my tattoos. Did I disappoint them? I don't know, maybe, but was that going to change anything about my behavior? I'm like, okay, well, this is me. You got to accept me. So this is what I mean. You don't have to take on all of these opinions. That's why we need to look at these things as data. We need to just look at them as facts, take our emotions out of them, and say, okay, I get a tattoo. My parents don't like that. I acknowledge that, oh, they probably didn't want me to put stuff on my body. Okay, because they created me. But I'm not going to take that on. Or I'm only going to keep them in certain places or whatever the case may be. But in this case, I see exactly where she's coming from. And I see with the tattoos where they're coming from. But I see where my mom might be coming from if she's in fact disappointed. And the truth is, I'm disappointed in myself. So either way, if she was or if I was. But I looked at this and I said, okay, I acknowledge what you're saying. And you know what? I should have done better. I should have done better. So what can I do next time? So we looked at it as data. And then remember, go back and look at yesterday where we talked about failure. And it's just lessons learned. So what do we learn in this lesson? I learned that I can't keep these things in my head, that I need to actually put a reminder on my calendar. Wouldn't it be great if my brain just remembered everything? But the truth is, the older I get and the more things I got going on, that sometimes my brain just fails me. And I didn't do it maliciously. I wasn't like, haha, I'm gonna wait till nighttime. No, my brain failed me. That was that. So what can I do better? I can put it on my calendar. That's what I can do. Absolutely put it on my calendar. Put a reminder the night before. Put a reminder the morning up. Put a reminder in the evening. So there are things that I know that I proactively could have done and I didn't, but I know now because I looked at the data. I looked at the situation and said, okay, let me put myself in their shoes. Or how do I feel about the situation? Which is, I feel very disappointed in myself. And what do we learn from it? So I learned that I need to put important dates on my calendar so I don't miss them. Yeah, I may have birthdays committed to memory, but even like anniversaries, I'm kind of forgetting. I'm like, oh, shoot, it's my parents' anniversary. And I'm just like forgetting dates. And I hear these things about when you're getting older and that just kind of happens. And yeah, I guess it kind of happens. So I acknowledge what I can do. Now, I would encourage you to take this one step further, depending on who it is, your relationship with the person, that dynamic. Have a conversation. Let the person know how you feel. So I told my mom last night that I was sorry and that next time I will do better and that it was really crummy of me to forget. And again, she didn't say this. She didn't shame me. She didn't say you should have called me. You should have anything. But I felt it. I felt it. And I think I felt it from her, but I definitely felt it from me. I should have done better. So I was open and honest. And here's the thing, guys. We lack communication on so many levels so often. We miss these opportunities to really just insert ourselves and say, hey, you know what? This is what's going on. And just talk about it. Instead of playing mind games, she should have known. She should have known. He should have known better. Guys, we're not mind readers. We need to have these conversations. Now, I may have just, let's say my mom truly was disappointed. Let's say I didn't pick up on this and I wasn't disappointed either. Here, my mom may be left out there feeling that, she doesn't feel like she was listened to. So that's why we need to, or that she was taken care of. And so that's why we need to have those conversations. So I just opened up because I don't like to keep things inside of me. You know why I don't like to keep things inside of me? Because it feels like cancer. I got to talk about it. And I've had a lot of people say, wow, that was refreshing. And what that tells me, because again, when you have enough people tell you something, it means that there is some validity there. So we talked about this the other day. So if enough people are saying, wow, I love your transparency. Wow, I love your honesty. I just love how that means that other people aren't. That means that there's a lot of people in this world that just aren't willing to open up and talk about things. And me, I'm just like, put it all out there within reason, You know, we don't need to go be verbal diarrhea to all the things, but put it out there. Have that conversation. Don't be afraid to say it. I mean, again, it's data. What's the worst that's going to happen? In this case, it's my mom. If she's like, I'm never talking to you again, you know, ouch. But do I think that's actually going to happen in this situation? No. But I wanted to be honest. So we talked about it, and I'm sure we'll talk again today. So there's that. So it's just data. It's just data. And you look at it, you look at the facts, you say, okay, put yourself in the other person's shoes, get honest with them. And then it's your choice. Is that something you want to change or not? You don't have to take it on. You may say, you know what? This is how I want to be. This is just how it is. Okay. But the other person that is disappointed is 100% valid in their feelings in that moment. And that doesn't mean that you can't have a conversation. Again, you got to have a conversation to get to this point. But it doesn't mean that you can't have a conversation, or that they may come to some realization on their own and things may change. But in that moment, their feelings were absolutely valid. Absolutely valid. So you got to talk through it. Say, hey, look, I totally forgot. I'm sorry. I will do better next time. But do better next time. Or whatever that may be in that situation for you. But you don't have to change anything. That is completely up to you. We cannot go around being people pleasers. In this case, this is my mom, and I was disappointed in me. So whether or not she was disappointed in me, I was disappointed in me, and I needed to do better. I did 100%. So it's only up to you. Look at the facts, look at the data, have those conversations, decide if that's something that you want to change, and then make the change. That's it. It's just take your emotions out of it, but acknowledge the other person. Acknowledge them for who they are. We don't want to go trample all over people. Well, you're not valid. Well, it really hurt in the moment for that person, or whatever the situation was. They didn't feel good about it. So honor that, validate that. Okay, now what do we do? We've still got some time. So what do we do when someone has disappointed you? Okay. First and foremost, so if somebody has disappointed you, first of all, you can't control their actions. Nobody can control anybody else. We've talked about control here, and we need to focus on only the things that we can control and let go of the things that we can't. It's going to put us into a state of suffering, which is what we're trying to get away from. We're going to put ourselves into a state of suffering if we focus on those things that we can't control. Why? Because we can't control them. I use the election a lot because that was such an event last year, back in 2020. And a lot of people went into suffering because either they wanted a certain president or they didn't want a certain president. And then when Joe Biden got elected, they either wanted him or they didn't want him. But the truth is, there's nothing we can do about it. The only thing you can do is go out and vote. Maybe you can lobby. Maybe you can talk to some of your friends, try to persuade them to vote in the way that you think. I don't know, but that's it. At the end of the day, you can't control how your friend votes, how your boyfriend votes, how your wife votes. You can't control that. That's them. That's their decision. So when someone disappoints you, that's out of your control. So just know that it has nothing to do with you, right? That's their individuality. This is their life that they're running. This is their thing. I'm saying this like it sounds like it's not going in a good direction. But you got to be honest. Tell them, because they may have zero awareness Zero. I had a situation recently where someone had zero awareness, and it blew my mind that she would just not even see any of this. But I can't control her. And if these are things that she chooses not to focus on, but she kind of runs over people, like steamrolls them and just keeps going. I had to talk to a friend about this because I was like, wow, I never saw that behavior. And then I saw it and it was like, she's just really like a bull in a china shop, just like going around. And I'm like, holy crap, she doesn't have any idea. And my friend I was talking to said, yeah, that's her, like, and she doesn't even know. You've got to sit down, have that conversation with her. And then she's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know. But the truth is, y'all, not everybody is going to be in sync with your feelings or how you interpret things. They're just going about their life. And yeah, they may have done something completely innocently, but it steamrolled you. Yeah. And that happened to me. And I thought, what the heck? But it's just kind of how this person is. So I had a conversation. She was like, oof, I am so sorry. I didn't even know. I will do better next time. So what did she do? She looked at the situation. She said, okay, let's look at the facts. Do I acknowledge this? Is this something that I think I should change? Or am I fine just how I am? And Jen, you just got to know that that's just who I am. Or is this something I should work on? And she was like, yeah, ooh, okay. I see what you're saying. I'm going to do better. And we'll see. We'll see. It was a really interesting situation. But she would never have known had I not said anything, because not everybody's aware. So some people are going to be aware. Some people are not going to be aware at all. But either way, have that conversation with them. Take your emotions out and just be very factual. Say, hey, look, in this situation, this is how it made me feel. This is how whatever. And you may find that there are things within you that you need to change, that you need to do little mindset shifts. Or maybe it's something about the other person's behavior. Or maybe it's both. But you got to have that conversation. You got to think through it in your mind. You've got to just go through the facts, look at the situation. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. And by the way, yeah, it's a little uncomfortable to grow. No one ever said that growth is comfortable. It's actually can be quite uncomfortable. So you got to have those conversations. And then if the person is not willing to change, or you don't have, and you're not willing to do any mindset shifts. So it's two ways. So it's not that the person just has to change. You may say, you know what, I need to look at the situation differently. I can see where you're coming from, and always put yourself in someone else's shoes and see where they're coming from, because you may find that the way that you look at a situation changes because you've put yourself in their shoes. Okay, I see why they did something. So maybe I need to not get so emotional about something or whatever. But put yourself in their shoes. And let's say the person isn't willing to change. You're not willing to adjust your mindset. You may be at an impasse. And this is when you get to decide, do you continue forward? Do you change anything about the relationship? Does the relationship go forward? I don't know. Only you can decide. But when we're dealing with disappointment, y'all, let's look at the facts. Let's look at the data. Let's put ourselves in the other person's shoes. Let's have that conversation. And then if there are things that need to change, let's change them. That's all it is. Let's not get emotional. Let's not get tied up, but let's not let it weigh us down, because it can absolutely weigh us down if we don't free ourselves of it. So I hope that touched you today. It was something that I needed to talk about because I felt that I very much disappointed my mother, which is the last person on earth that I would ever want to disappoint. So I know better. I know that I need to put things on my calendar, and that's just what I need to do from now on, because my brain is 40 years, almost 40 years old. And it forgets things, and it's not intentional. It's just what happened. So that's that. We're going to wrap it up today. That was a really good, I felt really good about that. So I hope you did as well. So I would love to get your feedback. So drop some comments in the chat. I'd love to know how that touched you or things that you may want to modify. You can also reach me through higherandheels.com. That is our website. And we will be back here tomorrow. And if you're watching this live, tomorrow is Friday, and I love Fridays. We all love Fridays. And so we'll see you back here tomorrow. So remember to like, subscribe, and I would love if you would share this, because that's how we are going to